Namaste all. Good afternoon. Welcome to the fourth session of Body, Mind, Intellect. So let me see if Anurag Bhaiya is there. Okay, he's there. So in the last lecture, we discussed on various like impurities and external world, vaccine which exists, which is a knowledge, and 7 stages of mind management. That is what we discussed in the last session last month. So in fourth edition of today's Body Mind Intellect, we're gonna discuss on 4 qualifications of seekers as per Adi Shankaracharya, means of gaining knowledge, Guru Shishya tradition, 24 gurus of sage Dattatreya, and religion of a seeker. So these topics we're gonna cover in this fourth edition of BMI. So I'll hand it over to Anurag Bhaiya. So you can take it over.
Thank you very much, Prashantji. We can start with the prayer here, and I welcome each one of you in this fourth session of Body, Mind, Intellect in the Tatva Bodha program. Let us start with the prayer. May I request all of you to sit straight, close your eyes, and experience the divine presence of the masters. Under their guidance, we are having this session. Oh. Sehna vavatu, sehno bhunaktu, sehviryam karvavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu, ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Once again, a very warm welcome and thank you for your time in participating in this session, blessing this session with your presence. I hope all of you and your family are keeping strong, staying safe in these times. We are all passing through a very difficult phase. There's a lot of suffering happening around these days. So I take this opportunity with all of you to do a small peace prayer for everyone who are affected by these happenings. Everyone is affected, so this is a universal prayer. So let's do that prayer of Shanti for everyone. And then we can have a 1 minute of silence. Please observe that in your silence, and then we can get into the session. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukh bhag bhave. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Please observe a minute of silence. Okay, so let us start today's session. Today we are going to have the last module of the chapter 1 of Body, Mind, Intellect. In this fourth session, in the last 3 sessions, we have considered so many topics, starting from what is life, essentials of life, goal of life, suffering. We discussed about that life is a suffering and what is the cause of the suffering and what is the solution of that suffering, and knowledge, that is the solution. What are the barriers uh, uh, in attaining this knowledge of self, which can help liberate from the suffering? We discussed about the inner viruses also, and then we discussed the stages of mind management, 7 stages of mind management in the last edition. Today we will continue with that session and qualifications of a seeker, which is very well articulated by Adi Shankaracharya through his experiences in Vivek Chudamani. A little bit of discussion, understanding about religion is very important and significant as well as sensitive topic. Then means of gaining the knowledge, this knowledge of the self or any kind of knowledge, what are the means? And then one of the means we will pick up, which is traditional means, and this Guru Shishya tradition. We will touch upon that and just go through 24 gurus, like Sage Dattatreya. He said that nature is a guru and everything is a guru, every creation is a guru. So what experiences and what his messages are from the nature-oriented education or a nature as a guru, we can have a brief discussion on that as well. So that is the topic today. In one of the sessions, we started discussing about the general characteristics of a seeker. And these are the external, the behavioral thing which seeker displays, the actions of a seeker, the personality of the seeker, the outer personality of the seeker from his body languages and other things one can observe, which we spoke about, that a seeker is someone who speaks less and listens more, because he's always in the learning mode. So he's absorbing and only making meaningful actions out in terms of speech or any other action, a very meaningful and impactful action. Okay. The other characteristic of a seeker is he's a self-critic. He's not the critic of others. He's always the critic of self. He's always finding the gaps, the scope, or the fault within, and identifying those and trying to fulfill that gap which exists internally, inherently, because he understands that the evolution, the right direction of the life is that, not in criticizing others. Unaffected by the external factors, he's so steadfastly rooted in the center that the external happenings, the chaos which is happening around, is not going to disturb his peace of mind. So his actions are always in the world, external world, but his mind is rooted in the center. Okay, always in the center. And of course, he puts intellect. His emotions are very well governed and controlled by his emotions, and therefore he leads pious and the righteous lives. Now, these are the external characteristics. The qualifications, the inherent qualifications, internal qualifications, is what Adi Shankaracharya says required for a seeker. A seeker becomes eligible for this, receiving this knowledge of the self. So what are those inherent characteristics or qualification of a seeker? Okay. So in the 7 stages of mind management, as per the Yoga Vasisht, which we discussed, we started with the virtuous desire. Virtuous desire. What is that virtuous desire? Similarly, Adi Shankaracharya, we will draw the parallels, how the different sages, enlightened gurus have given their experiences, and then there are a lot of parallels in between. Although their words have been different, but there is, like, they are all saying the same thing. So the burning desire, mumuksh, one of the qualification he says, the burning desire for the attainment of the knowledge of the self is there inside the speaker. So there are so many desires, but he has only this burning desire, and in the influence of this burning desire, other desires are very lowly. He pays no attention to the other lower level of desires which are there. They automatically drop, and there's just one desire for the self, which is virtuous desire. Okay, so mumuksh, it is called as mumuksh. It's very important for a seeker to have this burning desire. Vivek, intellect. Intellect is the capacity to discriminate. It is the capacity to decide or the make the choice. And this intellect is available to human beings. The humans are most evolved. So there, of course, and this measure of evolution is done by the how developed the intellect is, how developed the decision making is, how strong the ability to discriminate between right and wrong, righteous and unrighteous. And the highest level of intellect is to be able to discriminate between the real and the unreal. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. This is the highest point of intellect. If one is able to understand this, that Brahma is Satya, rest everything is unreal. That is the highest level of intellect. Today, very less focus is there on intellect. We are not taught the importance of intellect. A lot of focus is there on intelligence, but intellect, it is not there. So intellect is the measure of the maturity of the person. Intellect is the measure of the stability of the person. And all the divine qualities a person exhibits, intellect is the measure of it. Okay. And the mission of the life is continue to evolve the intellect. And as the intellect continues to evolve to the higher state, parallelly what is happening is the spirit of detachment starts to happen inside. The detachment is not something you have to practice. Detachment is automatically or the naturally it is happening. It is like a ripened fruit naturally getting ripe and then getting detached. Tree is not trying to hold it after that point. The moment that maturity happens, the fruit drops. A tree is detached from it. So detachment and Vivek and Vairagya are like one single thing, you can say, right? They are just happening together. As the intellect is developing, detachment is also continue to materialize at that point. So these are the three qualifications: mumuksh, vivek, and vairagya. And we have spoken a lot about detachment, attachment, detachment in the last session. Today also, when we go through the 24 gurus, we will see this how several things are teaching us the detachment. One, of course, is the example of the tree, what we are seeing here, and it is very important. There is a lot of fear about detachment. We think that detachment means we are losing something, we are losing the essentials of the life. How can I live the life as a detached person? How is it possible to have a no desire, whether it is practical or not practical? There are so many questions which come to the mind, but we are not trying to understand the exact what the message which the Vedanta or these masters are giving to us. Okay, because we have not experienced that level. Okay, and we need to think deeper, and then we will understand this, that detachment is the real way we can enjoy the life. Okay, so detachment does not mean that actionlessness. Detachment means we are doing all the actions, the necessary actions, but we are doing the right actions in the life, because there is an intellect which is governing the actions over there. Okay. The fourth qualification is the Shat Sampatti, which is again branching out into 6 ornaments. It is called as Shat Sampatti, which the seeker has. And you can see you can relate it to the 7 stages of mind management, which we spoke about last month. So Sama, Dama, Uprati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan. These are the 6 Shat Sampatti, 6 ornaments. So Sama is the first stage where the mind has to be calm. Mind is always in the agitated state. So the very foremost and the primary requirement to attain the knowledge is having a calm mind, not thoughts, so many thoughts. A mind lost in the thoughts, mind full, replete with desire, is always in the state of agitation. It is not a calm mind. So that's where the mind, first step of mind management, mind purification of the mind is important. A purified mind is a sattvic mind. It has more clarity. It has less thoughts. It has only meaningful thoughts. Unnecessary thoughts are all cleared up there in a calm mind. That is the practice of Sama. Okay. Then comes the Dhamma, that is sensory disciplines. The sense objects, they are always pulling the awareness towards themselves. Our mind is always getting attracted through these sense objects which are there, the sensory objects which are there. So Indriya Sanyam, it is called as sensory discipline. The moment the mind, the virtuous desire is born, the intellect is rising and person understands the futility of the world around, the sensory discipline starts to take place. Okay. And then the Dhamma quality starts to shape inside the seeker. That is a sensory discipline. And then mind is now withdrawing from the senses. As the sensory discipline is taking place, it is not craving for the pleasures because it knows that there is something higher than the pleasures I can get. And then it starts to withdraw from that sensory, the external world, and that's where the uprati starts to exist, materialize inside the seeker's body. This internal, again, experience, withdrawal symptoms he starts to show from that. And then the fourth one is the titiksha, which is endurance, because now mind is preparing for the higher challenges from here onwards. It is starting from a bigger and the lengthier journey, which is not going to be easy journey, and higher challenges it has to face as it starts to move towards that real thing. Okay, a lot of test examinations will happen during this point. A lot of barriers, the gravitational pull, because this is against the flow, against the mainstream. So far the mind is trained to go into particular direction. Now this direction is changing, and then it takes a lot of challenges, a lot of willpower, and mind that can endure all this. So that's where the endurance is needed, and only a cheerful mind can be a qualified for the titiksha. Only cheerful mind can face the challenges. Non-cheerful mind, okay, which is thinking work is like a burden, it will never be able to show this kind of endurance, this titiksha. So that's the another quality. And 14th verse of chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita talk about titiksha. Steadfast faith, shraddha, this surrenderness. Okay, shraddha means complete devotion, and without this devotion, the knowledge, the seeker doesn't get qualified for that. That means all the doubts which are there in the mind are now going away, because mind has a nature to present dilemma. Mind will always present dilemma. and intellect's job is to solve those dilemma. Okay, mind will always give you dilemma, 2 things, 3 things, multiple things, and then intellect has to choose one of that. So when the Shraddha takes place, then that means there is no dilemma. All the doubts are cleared. Doubts are like the friction. Okay. I'm not saying that having a doubt is a wrong thing, but doubt has to be clarified through logic, and that's where the whole intellectual development process takes place. But the thing is, always getting locked into the cycle of doubt will not lead the seeker anywhere. The seeker has to somewhere come out of this cycle of doubt. Okay, leave certain things, accept certain things which he doesn't know, rather to unnecessarily put the logic into that, because we are going beyond the sphere of known into the sphere of unknown. Okay, so when we go outside the sphere of known, there will be a lot of things which seem like illogical, but once that experience is taken, that illogical becomes the logical. Okay, so steadfast faith, shraddha, devotion is another very, very important quality which has to happen. That's where the mind and intellect harmony takes place. Okay, mind is kind of surrendering to the intellect here. Then comes the harmony. As I said, once the surrender happens, the harmony between mind and intellect takes place, and the samadhan happens in this state. Samadhan means solution. Harmony means samadhana. Samadhi. Samadhana comes from samadhi. What is samadhi? Samadhi means solution. Getting the answers is the samadhana, or is the state of samadhi. So these are the Shat Sampatti, and that is how the 4 qualifications of a seeker are explained in that. So we move to the next topic, which is religion. Another important topic, religion. Now, a lot of misconception is there. We have heard about a beautiful term called dharma. So, and then there is another term called religion. So today our understanding is dharma is the Hindi word for religion. But dharma has been there for thousands of years. This English language, the religion word was born little later, and they have totally different meanings. They don't have the same meanings, which is there. The explanation of the dharma or the understanding of dharma which has been given in the Upanishad is totally different than what we understand today. So dharma is not the religion what we understand today. That is one thing which we need to understand. Okay. Because today the religion has been really understood in a very, very narrow terms. We say that Hinduism is a religion, Islamism is a religion, Buddhism is a religion. But again, if we also go and try to go in the history of this word religion and how it evolved, we will understand that our understanding is not totally correct today. The word religion, exactly, it is coming from the Latin word religar, re-r-e, and ligar, L-I-G-A-R-E. So ligar is to bind, to connect, and re means repeat again. Okay, we say that, right? Repeat it, revision, vision and revision. Re, when we put, we say that do it again. Okay, something. So to bind it again. So to bind it to what? To bind to our nature. So religion means something which binds us, which unites us and to the nature. That is the whole understanding of religion. And then dharma. Okay, so to understand this in more detail about dharma, basically let's see this, understand this whole universe, how it works, right? So what is a universe? What is happening in the universe? Universe is a system of objects or people. There's so much of creation which we say that this is universe. The manifested universe which we are talking about, system of objects which is there. And these objects are transacting with each other. They are doing a give and take of energy. There are planets, and there are stars, there are other creations. Okay, in the planet, within the planet, there is a creation, and then there are individuals, people, people with life, and people without life forms are there. They are all transacting with each other. They are all doing the give and take of energy with each other, but they are doing under a given set of rules, which is called as the cosmic order of the universe is there. They all operate under the given set of rules. Earth is moving, it is moving in the given set of rule. If you see the sea or the ocean, they are operating, the waves and everything is in the boundaries, right? They are not crossing the boundaries. In normal circumstances, they are not crossing it. They are operating into that. So Earth is taking 365 days to complete the revolution around the sun. It is doing exactly into, and very meticulously it is happening under that given set of rules. No, so this is the order of the nature in which this whole universe is operating. And this cosmic order, or this is called as the dharma. So we can understand it in the context of the us people, like human beings. We have people, we have individuals make the family, and then family makes the community, and the communities make the society, and so on. This cycle goes on, right? So it is a system of individuals transacting with each other under a given set of rules, and this given set of rules is what we call as the dharma. So dharma is the fabric which is holding this entire actions or entire praja. Okay, that's what it is defined in Mahabharata. Dharanat dharmimityahu dharmo dharyate praja. Dharma is the one which has to, which holds, okay, which beholds this whole creation. And one dharma eva hato hanti dharmo rakshati rakshata. So this is the fabric which is holding. So somebody who is doing the adharma, who is not caring for the dharma, okay, somebody who is going out of the order, then dharma will finish that person automatically. It's like sitting on a tree, on a branch, and cutting the branch which is holding you. Okay, so dharma is that branch. If you cut the same branch, what will happen? But if you protect the branch, that branch will give you the fruits. Okay, so dharmo rakshati rakshata. One who protects the dharma gets protected. That is what the Upanishad is also saying. Okay. So dharma is the order in which, or the code of conduct, the code of the life, the order of the life, which is inherently there, which is discovered at the highest state of intellect. This is discovered. Okay. Now, there are laws. Under various laws, this life is governed. And then there are laws which are natural laws, laws of the nature. And then there are certain laws which are created by the humans for that. Okay. And then there's a difference between these two laws. The laws of the nature are permanent. They are eternal. And they are meticulous. Okay. And they treat everyone with equality. All that. So universal laws. They apply same everywhere. Wherever you go in this universe, same laws are operating there. They are deeply rooted. Okay. On the other hand, man-made laws are temporary laws. They keep on changing. Okay. They are time bound. They are into the thing. They are not eternal. They are time bound. They are localized to that particular location. So they are also space bound, time bound, space bound, and they are mostly around the gross activity, the gross actions which are happening outside, but not with the actions which are happening inside the mind. So that's the action is two things, right? The one action which is happening inside, the thoughts and emotion, and a lot of things happen inside. They are not governed by the man-made laws. But once it materializes into the physical action, that's where the man-made laws come into play. So man-made laws are only looking to the part of that activity, not the full activity. whereas the laws of the nature are governing everything. So dharma is affected. Dharma is there even in the completeness, if you see. So your thoughts, even if you think wrong about somebody, even if any kind of negative thinking, we are going against the dharma, and that will disintegrate our personality. The personality will get impacted because of that. So dharmo rakshati rakshata will be applied even for the subtle things which happens in the body, not just the physical world. The subtle world also it encompasses to that dharma. Okay, so this is just about some of the things about religion, the man-made religion and the religion which is created by the universe or by the nature. Now, when we talk about mind, so there are two types we can say. One is the dharmic mind. What is the religious mind? And then what is the unreligious mind? So the unreligious mind means the mind which is unmanaged, disorganized mind, a negative mind, mind which is totally egocentric, mind which is focused or drawn by the sensual pleasures. Okay, the world outside, one which the mind which is always attracted by the outside world, gravitating towards that, is the unreligious mind. That mind will never be able to attain the knowledge. So the unstable mind, it is like that, and that mind becomes the battlefield, Kurukshetra, and that's what the Bhagavad Gita starts with this. Dharam Kshetre Kurukshetre. Whenever there is the hani of dharma, yada yada hi dharmasya. So whenever there is a fall in the dharma, okay, the dharam kshetra becomes the mind, religious mind becomes the unreligious mind that time, and then all the unrighteous activities they take the center stage during that point. But at that point, the mind has to be elevated. That's where the need for the elevation of the mind happens, and mind has to be restored. The dharma has to be restored. That means from Kurukshetra, again it has to become Dharam Kshetra. It becomes the religious mind. Okay. And this is what, again, we are going to the stages of mind management. Mind management is nothing but mind management. The Kurukshetra converts a Kurukshetra mind into the Dharam Kshetra mind, cleaning all the unnecessary, the negativity of the mind, and restoring the harmony, the proper stage of the mind. Okay. Then there are another two terms which we have come across, Swadharma and then Paradharma. In the Dharma, we are talking about two things, Swadharma and Paradharma. Swadharma means my own nature. Okay, my own nature. What is my Sarupa? What is my Swabhava? Okay. Everything has a Swabhava. Every individual has a Swabhava. So actions according to my Swabhava is Swadharma. But actions according to someone else's Swabhava is Paradharma. Okay. So depending on others. Paradharma means we are now getting dependent on the others. We are acting on the, so many people today, we say that we act to make others happy. Okay. So which is, and then there are billions of people in our network. There will be millions of people or thousands of people. Each one you cannot make happy. Okay. If you start going to make everyone happy, you will not succeed. In the end, you will become frustrated. Okay. That means we are trying to act. If you are going to make someone else happy, you have to act according to that person's dharma. And then you will lose your own swadharma in this whole thing. Okay. So swadharma and paradharma, we have to see. And once you connect with your own nature and be your own self, then you will be able to radiate that and get that peace of mind. And once you get the peace of mind, that peace will kind of help the people around you also. and then the righteousness will prevail. Otherwise, unrighteousness will happen. Okay, so Swadharma and Paraparadharma is working to the other's nature, means others' laws, and then your own laws, and then it is very difficult. Moving on, what are the various means of gaining knowledge? So there are 4 means which have been described. One is by the direct perception. The knowledge can be achieved through the direct perception. That means using our 5 senses. Something I am seeing directly and receiving the knowledge. Something I am touching directly. If I touch the hot water, I get the knowledge that this water is hot. So that is the direct perception. I am getting the knowledge that fire is a hot thing. Okay, fire has a heat inside it. That's the knowledge I got through the direct perception. Then indirect perception, something I am not directly perceiving through my senses, but I am getting that knowledge indirectly. What is that? When you see the smoke at a distance, you get the knowledge there is a fire in that area. Although you are not able to see the fire, but the smoke is telling you there is a fire. So that's the knowledge of indirect perception. Okay. Or take another example where in the morning the windows are closed, but you hear the chirping of the birds. That gives you the, like, now the sunrise is about to happen. You are getting the knowledge through the chirping of the birds that sunrise is going to happen. This is an indirect perception of the knowledge. And comparison. Okay, upama. We give upama of something to know the something which is not known to us. So there is an object A which I know, but there is an object B which I want to know. I don't know. So to understand this object which I don't know, the example of this A is given, because which comes, the qualities are a lot more closer to that. Okay, so for example, what is a God? I don't know what is God. Then the example of a child is taken. God is like a child. Okay, look how the child is there. He is free from any kind of anxiety. He is just living in the present. Okay, he is not carrying any baggage. Child, God is something like that. So I'm trying to understand the characteristics of a God through the characteristic of something like a child which I know. This is an example of learning by comparison or knowledge by comparison. Upma. Then the tradition. Tradition means knowledge is passed from a generations, one generation to the other generation. Like the rituals what we do in our houses, they have been passed from one generation to the other generation. That is the traditional knowledge. Superstitious knowledge today is also a traditional knowledge. It has been passed from generation to generation that if you sneeze, something inauspicious is going to happen. So when we are born, we didn't know that, but somebody had taught us that, fed that into our mind. And this is coming from generations, this particular thing. Okay, so they also go into this traditional kind of knowledge. And then the knowledge of the self is also, there is this traditional knowledge where from one tradition to the other, from one generation to the other generation, this knowledge has been passed on. And that's where the whole tradition of Guru Shishya tradition, Guru Shishya Parampara, this knowledge has been preserved and passed on and lived on. Not just this knowledge of the self, any kind of knowledge, if you see. Okay, the knowledge of the music, the classical music and anything, it has been passed from generations. Okay, and then the Guru is there, and then there is a Shishya Parampara, and then Guru transfers the knowledge to the Shish, right Shishya, and then Shishya evolves using that knowledge and attains the status of a Guru, and then this whole cycle continues. Okay, so again, Guru and Shishya both are the faculties which are inside the person. Okay, although we see that there is a, in the context of two people, we say there is a guru and there is a shishya. But this is a very beautiful relationship, the relationship which is the highest status of all the relationships that exist around us, because this relationship is boundless. This is beyond time, this is beyond space, this is beyond the cause. This only relationship is there. Today we have not understood the whole depth of this relationship. Okay, we always treat it in the physical world. There is a person called guru, and then there is another person, shishya. But that relationship exactly is not a guru shishya relationship, right? The whole four qualification has to happen, that devotion and other thing, and that's when this relationship is really materialized, guru shishya relationship. And then one can understand the whole boundlessness of this relationship which is there. So these are the faculties which are again inside the learner and the guru, the master, which is there. Okay, both faculties are inside, and then once the point comes where the learner and the master becomes one, and that is the whole where this guru shishya relationship, and then this unification happens. Okay, so one who gives the knowledge, one who has traversed that path, one who has understood that path, one who has experienced that Brahma is the guru. And we see in the manifested relationship in the physical world in terms of guru and shishya. Okay, that's the external aspect of it. But the whole point of guru is, guru helps the shishya meets his own guru. Okay, today we get attached when we are seeing a guru in a person. Then there is an attachment over there. We get attached to the body of a person. Okay, and we start relating to that person. So that attachment causes a bounding. Okay, then the person is not able to reach to that knowledge of the self, where there is a state of no attachment. So we have to understand this guru shishya relationship goes beyond the body, beyond the objects, where there is no attachment. There is total detachment is there. Okay, so from attachment to detachment, this relationship takes place. So guru is nothing but the personification of the inner divine qualities. Guru is not a person, but a personification of the qualities. So guru is a quality of those natural qualities which are there: harmony, compassion, non-violence, ahimsa, prem, all these things, faith. This is a personification of that. Okay, that is what is the guru. Now a quick walkthrough on the 24 gurus of sage Dattatreya. Dattatreya is considered as the Adi Guru in the Siddha tradition. In the whole Guru Shishya Parampara, the first Guru is considered as sage Dattatreya. It is said that it is believed he received the knowledge of the Atma, the knowledge of the self, from Shiva, directly from Shiva. Okay, and then he saw this Shiva everywhere in the self-realized soul, and he received this knowledge of Atma from every creation. That means this whole thing, that Atma is everywhere, omnipotent, omniscient. It is there in every creation, and every creation can give this knowledge. So every creation is a guru. That is the message Dattatreya gave. So what are his 24 gurus? So first 5 gurus are the gurus, the nature, the 5 elements: the space, the air, the fire, the water, and the earth. These are the gurus who teach the power of the detached action. What is the detached action? Action without desire is the detached action. There is no desire, but the action is happening. That is the highest state of action, as the law of karma says. There are three types of action: action with desire, action with selfish desire. Okay, that means I have a desire, and for that I am performing some action to fulfill my own desire. That is a self-centric desire, egocentric desire. That is the lowest form of action. The second form of action, there is a desire to help someone else. I don't have, there is someone, this action I am doing for someone else, for my family, or my country, or for someone. Okay, I am doing it for other human being. That is the uh, action with unselfish desire. That is the higher state of action. And then third stage, which is the highest stage, is action with no desire. Action is simply happening, detached. Like you see the example of earth. Earth is moving, and due to the movement of the earth, there is a life which is maintained on the earth. This whole game of life, the creation, sustenance, and termination is happening on this. But the goal of earth is not to do that life. It is not rotating tirelessly to give life, because that is the nature of the earth, and it is just acting according its own nature. But due to that, the other things are happening because of it. Okay. So that is like the earth is teaching. Similarly, if we see the space is detached. Okay, the clouds come, they hide the space, they hide the sky, and then after that, because of the clouds, there is no effect on the sky is there, calm, quiet, tranquil. It is already it is existing, infinite. So clouds come and go, they are temporary. So clouds are not affecting the state of the sky. So it is again a example of a detached action. Fire, if you take, fire is also a detached action. Whatever given to the fire, fire is returning it by multiplying it and giving back. It is not keeping anything to itself. It is not attached to all those things which it is taking. It is just giving everything away, purifying everything. Okay. And like giving the oneness, if you put a wood in the fire, the wood takes the form of the fire. Okay, so there is a yoga which is happening, two things becoming one. So fire is also teaching this principle of oneness, atma, non-duality. That is how it is coming from the fire. Air also, air is egoless. It is giving and giving life to everyone. It is everywhere. Okay, whether it is a small hut or whether it is a palace, the same air is there. Okay, and it is transactive. Air is always in the, it is in the state of action and giving life to the others egolessly, not discriminating anything. Okay, so there is this earth is, sorry, air is also an example of detached action. Water, okay, water has a tendency to flow, and it flows into the lower areas. So it is like a egolessness. Egolessless person can go to the lowly stages of people to uplift the people, to give them the life. Okay, it is not discriminating between, I won't go there, no, that place is not for me, this is my status, I won't go beyond my status. Water has no such kind of discrimination. Detached action, giving the same effect, playing the same action to all the states. So that's how uh, the five elements of the nature are teaching the higher state of the life. Okay, then the next five gurus are the one who teach how the indulgence in sense object leads to the loss of awareness and eventually leads to the loss of the personality. The personality drops. So take example of a deer is there. A deer is a very fast animal. Okay, but the sound becomes the brings the fall of the deer. Okay, the hunter, it creates the sound, and that deer gets attracted towards that sound, that shabd, that sense of that shabd, it gets attracted, and then hunter lays the trap and traps the deer. So So this sound causes the fall of the deer, like that. Similarly, a seeker, person who is seeking the knowledge of the self, the sounds around, right, the sound which are there, he should not pay any attention. He should not get uh, lost into those sounds, attracted towards those sound. Otherwise he will lose the goal, and he will lose the awareness, and he will not be able to reach to the goal. uh, Elephant, touch. Okay, the sense of the touch, the elephants enjoy the pleasure of that. And but in this whole pleasure, they lose the awareness of the path, and then they fall into the ditch which is laid, the trap which is laid for them, right? And then uh, it brings upon its own fall. So touch is teaching that. Any elephant is teaching how the sense object of touch, or the sense of touch, is leading to the loss of awareness and loss of the goal. uh, Moth, a fly, goes to the fire, gets attracted by the flame, and then eventually loses its life into that. Okay. You see the fish again, which is a very fast in the water, impossible to catch like that. But then the bait, the sense of taste attracts it toward the bait, and then it finds itself in a very awkward situation, precarious situation, neither here nor there, and then it is caught by the bait and then loses its life. A bee also loses its life. It loses its awareness by the fragrance of the flower, loses the awareness of the time, and by the sunset the flower petals close and the bee is trapped inside that. Similarly, many people today, the fragrance of the world, they get attracted, they lose the awareness of the time which is given to them, because there is no goal, there is no direction, and instead of reaching to the goal, they end up losing their life, lost in the fragrance. That's how the sense objects are the distractors. That's what Dattatreya learned, and they are like, they deviate the person from the path, and the goal is lost. Then there is you see another set of 5 gurus here. Moon. Moon is not affected by the time. There is a waxing and waning of the moon that happens every 14 days. You see the crescent moon and full moon, and then there will be zero moon, but it is not affecting the identity of the moon. The identity of the moon is maintained. Only thing is, the appearance is changing that way. Similarly, Atma is there, whose existence is not affected. Only the body is changing. Okay. So the body goes through the various phases of birth, infancy, and then it grows as a young person, and then adult and senior adult, and then eventually it goes away. So similarly, the external appearance of the moon changes, and it is unaffected by the time. Its entire existence is unaffected by the time. The same is Atma, which is not affected by the time. Only the body is getting affected. Sun is again a detached. It is a cause of action on the earth, but that is not the purpose of sun. It is a cause. Okay, it is not doing the action, but it is the cause of the action. Similarly, Atma is the cause of action. The thoughts, the emotions, the action, whichever this whole thing is happening, it is happening because of the presence of Atma. Okay, because of the light of self which is there. Okay, but self itself is not doing the action. It is not a doer. Okay, so it is just a witnesser. Similarly, same like sun. So that's the quality to learn about self from the quality of the sun, Atma. Then there is a pigeon. Okay, pigeon teaches us how again attachment causes suffering, and it goes in the form of a story. There was a pair of a pigeon. They were in deep love with each other. they had the baby pigeons, their children. Once they had gone, the parents had gone to fetch the food. A hunter comes and takes away the baby. The moment these parent pigeon return and they find their children are ensnared by the hunter, the attraction or the affection to the child is so much that they are unable to bear that loss, and they go and they also jump into the net and they give their life uh, also. Okay, so that is how the attachment causes the suffering, is learnt through the pigeon by looking at this whole story of the pigeon, which comes from there. A python. Python is like teaching the, again, detachment from the sense of taste. However hungry the python is, but it will remain steady, it will remain stable, it will not become agitated in the whenever there is a hunger. Whether it gets the food on time or not, it is unperturbed by that. It demonstrates that kind of stability. Okay, so a stable personality. So that is how the uh, detachment from the sense of taste is what the python teaches. Okay, ocean or the sea. Again, sea is like knows the code of conduct. It doesn't cross the boundary. Many rivers will come and fall into the sea, but sea is will not cross the boundary. When the heat of the sun is there, the sea loses its water in the form of vapor, but it remains as it is. It doesn't changes its nature. It is unperturbed by that. When the water coming in and the water going out, it is not disturbing the whole nature of the sea. Okay, so it is unaffected by that. It is stable in the core, the depth of the sea. At the bottom of the sea, it is still at peace. Okay, so sea is teaching that way. Similarly, Atma. Again, this is materialization of that verse called Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate, where the water, you take something from the infinite remains infinite. Okay, the fine, you take the thing from the infinite, there is nothing changes from the infinite. That is what Purnamadam Purnamada, the whole essence of it. Okay, then again there is a child, infant, uh, uh, which is again no desire, fearless, living in the present. Spider, again attachment leads to suffering. Spider creates the web from it itself and then it swallows it. The moment it has to come out, it will swallow. So it is not detached by its own creation. But humans, they create their web through their attachment, but they are unable to come out of it. So Atma is the cause where this whole web of creation is there, and then everything subsumes back into Atma. Okay, that whole creation, sustenance, and this because of Atma it is happening. So that is the knowledge of the that received from the spider. Spider can teach. Okay. Then there is a young maiden, a beautiful lady. Again, from there, there is again a story goes. But we don't have time, so we can't go into. I think you can go and check all these. There are different narratives which are given, in different texts. But the whole essence is she had the two bangles in each hand, and there were visitors, and she had to grind. The grinding was making noise. These bangles were kind of making sound. So, and she could not remove the whole bangles because of the tradition. So intelligently, she took out one bangle each from each of the hand, so that there is one bangle remains, and then there was no sound. That means duality creates the noise, the duality creates the violence, the disturbance, but non-duality, that is, there is a oneness, there is an absolute peace over there, which is the state of Atma. That knowledge is there. Serpent is again an example of simple living, detached from the worldly affairs. It doesn't create its own house or abode. It lives into the houses created by others, and leads a very simple life. Okay, detached life. Example of a wasp is there. Wasp puts its little one into a dead caterpillar and then stings it. And due to that continuous stinging, or the where that small baby becomes a wasp, it comes out of it. So meditation on the self leads to the liberation. It gets liberated from the body of the caterpillar, the dead caterpillar. Then there is a story of a courtesan which tells us rising above the sensual intelligence, where she realizes that her customer, she waits for a prince with whom she is fell in love and there is a sensual desire with the prince. Whole night she waits for the prince. So this is a story of Pingala, lady called Pingala. And then the prince never comes the whole night, and then she becomes very frustrated. In this frustration, a new dawn happens, a new realization happens to her. If she had instead of wasting time in waiting for these sensual things, if he had applied this time for her own development, she would have got more joy and boundless joy. That kind of a realization that happens to her in that story. Then again, there is selfish accumulation leads to suffering. There is a honey seller where honeybees, they accumulate the honey, but they don't they lose all their accumulation when the honey seller or somebody takes that honey back, right? So whatever they accumulate throughout the life does not stay with them, does not stay with you, and it becomes a reason for suffering. And the same thing goes with the bird of a prey, which gets attacked by the crow because it is carrying a dead rat of food. The crows come and attack and take their share away. So accumulation also leads to suffering. Today we are seeing a lot of people are getting into this accumulation when there is a emergency in the whole nation. When people need resources, there are people who are accumulating the resources, hoarding, the practice of hoarding. And these things, by doing this, person accumulates the sin and the karmas, and always get lost into the karmas, not able to come out of this cycle of karma, which is the goal of life. And that is the knowledge which is coming from there. The last one is the blacksmith, who with single-mindedness is busy in his karma. Even a young lady passes, he's not distracted. So his all senses, everything is with single-minded goal. He's practicing his work. Similarly, a seeker of truth with single-mindedness, one-mindedness, if he's focused on that, not distracted by the things around, he reaches the goal. Is the learning that Dattatreya received from a blacksmith. So I think this brings us to the end of the session today. I thank once again all of you for your time, for participating in this session. We will conclude this session with the Shanti part. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Back to you, Prashantji.
Thank you, Anurag Bhaiya. Thank you, all of you. I guess we are good for today, and we will meet next Sunday for a group discussion session on the same topic. So, see you soon, and you take care, and all have a great day. Bye bye.